Elle, I'm pissed. I'm
Why?
pissed.
Why?
Paige Bueckers got a GQ spread before me.
What?
Why you cackling like that? What's funny?
Dude, one of the things that's missing from this whole universe and planet, and apparently here on this show, is self-awareness. Welcome to the Elle Duncan Show,
Actually,
co-starring
Elle,
Gary
I'm
Streisky.
I'm so self-aware that your boy got the blue blockers on. All right, I'm trying to de-strain my eyes. That's how self-aware I am.
Those look like vanity glasses, the ones that you don't actually need. You just think you look cool and trendy and hip. They're like hipster glasses. Is there
Oh,
a
that's the last
prescription?
thing I thought some clear frames were going to accentuate on me. Um, Listen, a lot of people say blue blockers are nothing but a placebo, and I am here to test the theory.
You mentioned Paige Bueckers. I mean, she's on GQ because she's Paige Bueckers,
Yeah,
and also completely in her bag right now.
yeah.
One of our fantastic women's basketball researchers just sent me this note because we're getting ready for college game day at Notre Dame, and
Was it Jen
it,
Lacroix?
it was Carter Roche.
Oh, okay. Shout out Carter.
She has 4 10 assists, does Paige Bueckers, in her entire career. 4 games where she has at least 10 assists in her career, and 2 of those have come in her last 3 games.
Okay.
She out here
Some
balling.
people would argue lack of production for the last 4 years. That's not something I would say. I'm just waiting for the comments that people are going to say, where was she and why wasn't she doing that the last 4 years? I'm just listen, playing both sides of the fence here.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Some of those people would not be listening to this show because they have absolutely no women's basketball acumen. But I will say this, as we sort of look bigger picture, we are closing in on the regular season here in women's
Yeah.
basketball. We're getting ready for conference championships. We're getting ready for conference tournaments. And then, of course, the selection show. And I got to tell you, every single week, we are left scrambling and going, wait, so this
Mhm.
isn't the number one team now? This is the number one team now? In fact, after Notre Dame loses to NC State on Sunday, and we'll get into all that game day that was there, it was lit. We've now had 4 different number one overall picks. That's tied for the most since they started doing polling. So when we talk about parity, it's never been better. We don't have a clear favorite. The caveat to that is that the top 7 have remained the same. They've moved around. They've
Yeah.
moved around. 1 through 7 has been replotted and realigned numerous times over the last couple of months, but the top 7 has remained the same. And so it leaves a lot of people wondering who is, in fact, ready for Tampa? Who is the teams that we think are going to be best suited to make a run for the Final Four when it's in Tampa this year? And I got to say, despite what happened on Sunday, I still very much think Notre Dame is in play. Let me back up a second, though, because when we're figuring out where we want to go for college game days, of course, the matchup is important. We want it to be a great matchup. Our very first game day was South Carolina and UConn, 2 blue blood programs, 2 ranked teams. Like that was great. But we also very much look at atmosphere, right? Like how on board will the school be? How much support will we get from the students and the fans? How much buy-in will they be? How much will they play into what we're trying to create with this game day atmosphere? And let me tell you, baby. We've been told for years we've got to get to NC State, and we finally were able to. And the folks down in Raleigh are something different. It was incredible. Students lined up at 10 o'clock the night before in the cold. By the way, real chilly and balmy in Raleigh. Okay.
Mhm.
Not 60 degrees, cold. They were there at 7 a.m. They were lined up for over a mile at just an opportunity to get tickets. A lot of those kids wouldn't be able to make it in. Only 500 are allowed in. And it was just everything that was promised. Like that place is so special. I think they get a little bit little brothered by Duke and North Carolina, but NC State, Reynolds Coliseum is one of the best atmospheres that I've ever been in. The gym's sort of small and there's no bad seat in the house and the facilities are beautiful and it was so much freaking fun, Gary. Like just a blast. And then you ask for the atmosphere to be there. You hope that the school will support it. You want everyone to buy in. And then you pray that the game is good. And the first week of game day, we had all of those things until tip. And then the game wasn't great. If you're
Yeah.
a UConn fan, the game was great. It was a blowout. It wasn't particularly close. It wasn't competitive. It wasn't a great game. This was hands down between NC State and Notre Dame, the best game of the season.
And are you in South Bend this weekend?
We're in South Bend this weekend.
Okay. So obviously NC State wanted to play a little spoiler, and I think what people need to be reminded is NC State, both women's and their men's team, they were Final Four teams. So it's not like this squad was going to be a pushover. Everybody wants to see the best team get knocked off. So I guess you guys are 2 for 2 in game day in that wherever you're at, you get the upset. So,
Yeah.
so buyer beware next weekend. But I don't think this is anything that we didn't see coming or said that we would be shocked if it had happened. Notre Dame going to NC State and possibly having a letdown game in their own right, taking an L, and that's exactly what they did. I'm
Yeah,
not
I mean,
surprised though.
yeah, like, well, listen, NC State, tough place to play. They had one going into that game, 19 straight. They have as many wins over ranked teams at home than anybody else. It's a very tough place to play. We're getting a lot of shit because all three of us, yet again, picked the favorite to win this one, that being number one Notre Dame. And of course, they ended up losing. This comes a week after we all picked South Carolina to win, and then they end up getting boat raced. And so clearly there's a college game day curse. Clearly, if we all pick you to win, there's a really good chance that you will not. That's unfortunate. But I think it was just much more about Notre Dame than it was an endorsement of Notre Dame more than it was an indictment of NC State. But we saw an NC State team lean on the things that they're really, really good at. Excellent guard play. Like this was a battle of the backcourts. We knew going in it would be that way. And both teams delivered in terms of that. The Notre Dame big three of Hannah Hidalgo, Olivia Miles, and Sonia Citron were huge. And then the NC State big three of Sanaya Rivers, Isaiah James, and Zoe Brooks, also huge. But they were doing things that we hadn't seen them do particularly well this year. And I'm talking about shoot free throws. Zoe Brooks was incredible. They hit all their free throws down the stretch. It was from tip. I mean, I think we had like 17 lead changes. Like it was so good. It was heavyweight blow after heavyweight blow, back and forth. It was double OT. It was clutch shots. It was huge blocks. It was like, I mean, I kept tweeting, like, this game is on mushrooms. It was one of those where you just feel so honored to get to watch it and to be there and to watch the fans, to see how quiet it got when Sonia Citron hits that bucket at the end of regulation to send it to overtime. Like, it was fantastic. But you got to give a ton of credit to NC State. We talked about this with them when we talked to them in pregame before the show, that this NC State team is sort of following the same blueprint as last year's. I think last year's team around this time had just lost a couple of games. They fell to maybe like number 13 or 14 in the rankings. They were number 13 on Sunday before they played Notre Dame. And then right before the conference tournament, they got a couple of signature wins. They went on a run in the tournament. They looked really, really good. And it's in large part why I felt really comfortable making them my Final Four pick, despite a lot of people going, really? Last year. I mean, I saw it. The Westmore defense is always going to be there, but I just felt like at the time they were playing their best basketball, and that's why I picked them to make the Final Four, and they did, and they made me look so smart, and I'm so grateful to them for that. But we're seeing the exact same thing. Little stumble before the Notre Dame game, they lose to North Carolina, and then beat Notre Dame, the number one team in the country, who found their way at number one for the first time in 1990 since 2019. And then it was a 1 week sort of short-lived thing. Is now Texas is your number one team in the country. But it just was amazing. And like again, now NC State put more people on notice. Like, do not forget about us. And the only reason they weren't getting as much attention, and we saw that when we were talking about it on pre-game, Drea was like, this isn't the same Final Four team. They lost a lot of inside presence. They lost their bigs. They lost a lot of scoring. And so it was really about figuring out who it is that's kicking it out to those guards to make those big buckets. And we saw that with Tilda Trieger, the freshman she had the best game of her short career. If they can play like they did on Sunday against everybody, there is literally no reason to believe that this is not going to be a Final Four team again.
So you're putting them in the Final Four. You're anointing NC State as a Final
Not
Four
yet,
team.
not yet. I need to
No,
see
no,
conference. I
man,
need it now. I need to see tournament
man.
play. I need
I
to
heard
see
what I
tournament play.
I
I need
heard
to
two
see
things.
tournament
I
play.
heard Elle knows what it's like to experience being on mushrooms, and I also heard her say the number nine NC State Wolfpack are back in the Final Four. Okay, that's a leap, but
It's
listen, you looked into your little crystal ball and you said NC State is better
my
than, let
crystal
me just
ball.
read off some teams. UConn 5, South Carolina 6, LSU 7, North Carolina 8. Obviously, that's not how they get to the Final Four, but those are a lot of teams that you would presume have to be beaten in order to blaze a little path for NC State. Okay, L, I like it.
Well, I mean, I need to see also, I mean, the turn like the who they're going to play, their bracket, all that comes into
Yeah,
play too. It's hard to
definitely.
predict a Final Four team until you can get the bracket and you can see where everybody slots. It's also why I liked NC State last year because I looked at their quadrant, I looked at their area of the bracket, and I thought they can beat any one of these teams, right?
Who was it?
So
It was Iowa and LSU who had absolute gauntlet regions.
I mean, Iowa had as tough a run to the
Yeah,
national championship as anybody. Same with LSU. We were
yeah.
unhappy that that was going to be the
Oh,
matchup in
they
the
were in
Elite
the
Eight.
same. Yeah, they were in the
They
same
were on the same side of the
region. That's
bracket.
right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, which was unfortunate because I really felt like that LSU Iowa game could have been a great Final Four game.
2.0.
I wouldn't do
Yeah.
anything differently though. It was an awesome Final Four. But yeah, so some of that comes into play. But I do think that we really are asking ourselves, like, okay, do we believe in it? Because here's the thing: I ask everybody, all of the big talking heads that I've got access to, all of these brilliant minds in women's basketball. And I've been saying this for weeks and months, asking them, do you believe in Texas? And even now, as the number one team in the country, despite beating South Carolina and LSU and being in pole position to, at the very least, win the SEC regular season outright or tie with South Carolina for the SEC regular season, they're still like a
Little sheepish on
right?
Texas.
They're still, yeah, they still like I haven't met anyone that's bullish
Why?
on Texas. I don't they can't, a lot of the stuff that they say is like apart from, Maddie Booker, like where's the offense coming from? You know that Vic Schaefer's defense is going to be there. Maybe some concerns that those girls play so freaking hard and that Vic, really pushes them. There's a little bit of a Tom Thibodeau there, where it's like,
Oh,
do they have enough in the tank come the tournament because they play so many minutes, because they have such a stifling defense? Do they run out of steam a little bit because they get tired? And that's kind of, the things that I hear. But essentially, this is still a Texas team that made a great run last year, despite having to have a freshman that they leaned on out of position playing point guard when that's not her natural position. Maddie Booker's now shifted back to her natural position. Rory Harmon's back. They've got really great pieces. I don't see why they can't. In particular, the confidence to come out of the SEC, such a tough conference,
mhm.
playing South Carolina, LSU, even a Kentucky team that's more formidable now that Kenny Brooks and Georgia Amore are there. That kind of confidence has to make you feel really good as you go into a tournament. Like we can beat the best of them. And so I'm still like, I'm still leaving space for Texas to sort of show us who they are. And again, I think that the SEC tournament will have will really play into like whether or not they become a bigger part of the national conversation. But it still feels like people feel more strongly about a UCLA, even a UConn after they beat South Carolina. South Carolina, of course, very much a part of that conversation, and Notre Dame as well, even though they lost to an ACC rival on Sunday. So it's all good stuff. And
You
I'm
feel like
excited
this
for
is
it.
a situation where, since there has been so much shuffling of the deck, especially within the first half dozen teams, it's like the last school that has the number one ranking going into seeding time or going into championship tournament or a conference championship time, that's going to be your number one team in the country. Sort of just by way of having the crown when you get to the finish line, as opposed to, the entirety of your season's resume.
Yeah, I mean, but I also think that it does not necessarily portend what's going to happen. Again, just a couple years ago, like South Carolina was number one all year long. They were undefeated, and
Yeah.
obviously they went on to win. But the year before, we saw LSU win it as a three seed. The year before that, it was South Carolina that won it. So I definitely don't know that it portends what's going to happen, especially because we have so much parity, especially because there hasn't been a clear favorite. Like I said, we are now on our fourth number one this season, which is as many as we've ever had. But I have to share because the internet went wild. I have to share a little inside BTS of what happened when we were at NC State.
Did they bring a live wolf out? Because we know how you do with live mascots.
Yeah, thank God we only had to deal with Mr. and Mrs. Wolf, who are the not live mascots, married
Okay.
though. Great people. They kept standing directly in my purview as I was trying to watch this game. I was
They're
like, bro, we're at the end of this game. Can you guys please move? I'm just trying to watch this game. There's limited space for me. Love them though. But no,
they're wild animals.
I want to personally chastise
Oh,
Sanaya Rivers and Isaiah James for why I can't walk today.
excuse me.
So we're just getting ready in our production office,
Oh,
and Sanaya and Isaiah
I saw
come
this.
by the production office, and they're like, "Elle, Janae, you guys want to come to the locker room?" We're like, "Hell yeah, we want to come to the locker room." We go, they're like, "Cool." They're loose, they're fun. They're kind of whispering to each other. I don't know what's happening, but I'm just excited. We go to the locker room. By the way, their locker room is lit. It's beautiful. It's so nice. They just renovated it. So nice. Snack display on in Fuego. And because we are of these times, they have a whole mirror where the girls can like do their TikTok videos and stuff like that, like set up. So we walk in and we're like, this is cool. And then all of a sudden, we hear dun 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 dun
Juvenile?
dun. Back that ass up starts
Girl, you wet with
blaring
some
through the
yeah, you
speakers.
bad, yeah.
And clearly, as a 41-year-old, that is very much my. And I am going to proceed to Meg the Stallion the out of that song when it comes up. So we start dancing, me and Shanae, we're all dancing. I'm testing out those knees. They were shocked. They could not believe that at my big old age that I still had these knees and that I could get this work in. Now, I love to show the knees, but then the day after, I always suffer a bit for it, and that's fine. So, am I able to walk without sort of a slight limp right now? No.
Battling.
But did I show those 18, 19, 20, and 21-year-old girls how these TTs can still get it done?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I did.
Nah, Auntie was out there battling. She was. She was out there battling. She won the game before the game got even tipped. You know what
I
I'm
did.
saying?
I did.
Oh, you set
I
the
gotta say,
standard.
from my vantage, Gary, like the NC State is one of the most fun teams. Like they're real fun. It's the same team that last year at the Final Four, Sanaya likes to do like freestyle raps. So we asked
Mhm.
her to do one, and like no one was jumping in. Everybody was being shy. So I started like giving her background vocals, and me and her just freestyled like a rap. Like they are very, very fun. Their chemistry, sort of the TikTok videos that they do, like all of that really comes across their affinity for each other, their love for each other. They were keeping it so light. And Shanae actually said that. She's like, man, when I was playing, like I was never this light before a game. I was like all in my head. I was this, I was that, I was whatever. And I said to her before the game, I go, yeah, but like they're playing the number one team in the country and they're playing loose. Like
Yeah.
they clearly feel like they got nothing to lose here and they're playing with house money. And then we ended up seeing that on the court, but they are about as fun a group. Like that we have never been invited in for a dance off before the
Mhm.
game, and I just highly recommend that for any other game days we go to, if the home team could just extend a slight invitation. I will also get down to yin yang twins, so like if anyone's out there listening and you'd like to see me get these knees work, just like lure us into your locker room and play some rap
Now,
circa 2000s.
now, El, this invite was prior to them finding out you actually chose the road team to win the game.
This was prior to that, yeah.
Okay, understood. Now, spinning this forward, even though we have an episode at the end of the week,
Yeah, I will still be choosing Notre Dame on Sunday.
Louisville gonna get a win, sounds like.
I, I hope that I'm not, if we do jinx Notre Dame again, I'm just gonna like lay out from picks. I don't want to do it.
Oh, you're
Uh
gonna go full Kirk Herbstreit? Sorry,
yeah, I'm
guys.
just be like,
I'm
nah,
not picking.
I'm not doing it. I mean,
Yeah,
listen, picks are what they are, dude. Like
correct.
you got a one and two chance of being right or wrong. It's never in endorsement or indictment of one or the other. It's never personal. It's just we're forced to make picks. It's game day. Like we tend to go with the favorite for a bevy of reasons. I called an upset potentially in TCU West Virginia. That didn't work. Drea did the same. A potential upset with Kentucky LSU. That didn't work. So we try our best, but it doesn't always end up that way. I know that the NC State girlies know that we love them, and they know how much I respect them as the person that picked them to go to the Final Four last year. But yeah, we just thought Notre Dame. We just thought that they had a little bit more in the bag, and that they could do things a little bit differently. They also have a really good defense. I mean, Notre Dame before Sunday had been holding conference opponents to 58 points per game. Like They are a really, really good defense. And we just didn't know enough about, I think, Tilda Trieger at the time, who again had the game of her career. So all of these things led to a perfect storm that allowed NC State to pull this huge upset. But again, it was more than anything. I don't care about being wrong on picks. All I want is a good game. I want a game that was promised, and that game over delivered than what we promised it would. It was great. All right, Gare Bear, the internets have been interneting. Tell me what's up.
Well, Elle, your boy JJ Redick in the news. You know, he made a comment about LeBron James talking about like he was applauding he was applauding his star player for playing basketball. Ellen, I think the internet took that a little bit of a particular way, myself included.
What do
I
you
quote
mean? What
tweet,
did he say?
he was like, LeBron James, this dude is a billionaire. He's 40, he's a billionaire. And he is playing the second game of a back-to-back. L, you would have thought JJ Redick was talking about how LeBron James stormed the beaches of Normandy. It was insane. So I quote tweeted it and I was like, what he meant to say was store manager applauding his employee for working scheduled shift. I didn't get that. We're going to drop it right here.
He really just defies anything that's normal, and not just the physical feats and the plays. It's the mentality. He is, again, I believe I saw the other day, he's a billionaire. And he's playing on the second night of a back-to-back at 40 after 22 years with every frickin' record and every accolade. And the kids will say that I'm glazing him. He's one of the greatest competitors.
L, am I out of pocket? Me and JJ
Yes.
Redick are about the same age, but whatever happened to basketball players playing basketball? Who cares what their net worth is?
But that's the point, though, is that they don't anymore. They don't
Exa-
play. You've got 27-year-olds on load management. You've got, they don't feel like playing. So what he's trying to say is this man has nothing left to prove. This man is a gazillionaire who's 40 years old.
Oh, you're sipping the Kool-Aid.
No, I'm not. That's what he's trying to say here. Like, you guys all, like, listen, I understand there's so much apathy for athletes, for people in this position, because if they have any grievance or complaint or mild discomfort, everyone just chalks it up to get over it because you get paid all this money and there's teachers that don't get paid any money and there's garbage. Of course, all things being relative, yes, that's not, but like you can't perspective everything to death. Yes, LeBron would tell you the same thing. He's not a hero for playing basketball, but what JJ was trying to say was that in a world, in an NBA world, not a world, an NBA world where
Well,
everyone doesn't want to work and takes off for load management or for what could be a minor this or a minor that. This man shows up to work when he does not have to. There is such a thing as giving some veterans like the ability to sort of like take it easy a little bit. There is. You've earned that right when you become a certain level, when you hit a certain level. You've earned the right to say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore because I don't have to do this anymore. We see it in the NFL. The veterans don't have to report till later. The veterans don't have to participate in OTAs if they don't want
mhm.
to. Like you are given those things, those accommodations, because you earn them through time. And LeBron James has earned all of those reasons. Nobody would besmirch him at all for sitting his out if he wanted to. And he still shows up at a back to back. That's what he was trying to say. You guys
L,
just like to take anything that's involving someone that's rich and famous and then just deduce it to get over it. You want a
first,
gold medal?
first
Oh,
of all,
there's people in the military. Of course there is. Like that's so stupid. I'm sick
L,
of it.
first of all, don't you guys
No,
like to
y'all do
do?
that all the
No,
time.
L, if okay, listen, if the standard for what a lot of people claim to be the greatest of all time, if the standard by JJ Redick's words and your explanation, the standard for LeBron James is, well, he doesn't have to play. Is that your king? Oh, well, he doesn't have to be here. What do you mean, JJ Redick? Yes, he does. He signed a contract. He gets paid. Why are we applauding a 40-year-old dude who, by the way, it's not like he's Joe Schmo off the couch. This dude is a fine-tuned athlete in the stretch run of an NBA season. What do you mean? He's a
And doing
billionaire.
things we've never seen a 40-year-old do. Gary, stop being so flippant about it. Like, y'all are
I'm
just
not
so,
being flippant
yes, you
about it.
are. Yes, you are. And you're coming from the same place of like, that's like saying you're never allowed to complain and you're never allowed, like, nobody should ever apply. I know how hard you work, Gary. I know how hard you work. And imagine if I shouted you out for working hard, for
Uh-huh.
working 7 days a week, and
Yep.
someone go, oh, it must be so hard to put on some makeup and tell bad jokes.
Okay,
You're
first
a
of all,
hero.
that's too
You're a
personal,
hero,
Elle.
Gary. That's what you're supposed to do, Gary. That's your job. That's why you're overpaid. You're overpaid anyway. Like,
Okay.
imagine. Like,
What?
show some compassion. Have a little
No.
empathy. I
If
get it. In the grand scheme of things, no, it doesn't make him a hero that he showed up for a back-to-back. But what JJ is trying to say is that someone of his caliber that doesn't have to, that can take a night off, is still choosing not to take a night off. That is the point. That's the point. That's not applicable to all roles and jobs in the world. I mean, LeBron himself, how much gratitude and gratefulness and grace can like he show? Like, I get it, but
this
it's
has
just
nothing
so
to do with
unfair to act like
LeBron.
these dudes should never be applauded for
No,
just because they make all this money. No
that's
one's
not.
ever done what LeBron is doing at 40 years old. So there's nothing wrong with saying like, hey, considering he's in completely uncharted territory
Uh-huh.
here, he could take a day if he wanted, and he's not choosing to take that day. That's all he was trying to say.
This
You're
is
doing way too much.
no way. This has nothing to do from start, middle to finish about LeBron. We could take him out of the equation. I'm talking about JJ Redick making that be the standard and incorporating and putting LeBron's net worth as some sort of qualifier. I'm saying I don't care about the millions or the billions that he's worth. That is irrelevant to an employee showing up for their scheduled shift, Elle.
No, it's not.
It
No,
is
it
a
is not.
hundred
No, it
percent.
isn't. Everybody fantasizes all the time about what would you do if you won the lottery and you didn't have to do this job. Everybody fantasizes about that. What he's saying is that man is a lottery winner. He don't do this necessarily for the paychecks. He's got so many paychecks outside of it. It's not about that.
Correct.
It's not about that anymore. He's
Uh-huh.
still doing it and he still has the same work ethic. That's the point. If I won the lottery tomorrow and I kept showing up to work, damn right, somebody at work should be like, good on you, sis. You must clearly really love your job because you're clearly not doing it for the money at this point. Because if it was just about the money, he could take that paycheck, which is the same whether he does load management or not, and he could sit his out if he wanted to, or come up with a mild sprain or this or that to sit out. And he's
No.
not doing it. That's the point, Gary. The whole point is that the wealth very much has a place in that. Warren Buffett is one of the richest men in the entire world, and he still goes to work and he
Hmm.
still cares. And he's
Hmm.
95 years old. Like, that is
Hmm.
a work ethic. Period. He
Yep.
could be sitting on an island somewhere, but like the point is that people never ever want ever to give any compassion or empathy for someone in his position, because I get it. It does suck. It sucks that 90% of America has to do these jobs where they're underappreciated, that are undervalued, where they're still struggling. I understand all that. That ain't his fault. That's not his fault. It's not his fault. So
Hmm.
we can't even say like good on him. It has to become, oh, great. A store manager would do like, y'all stop it. That's the problem. It's all this whataboutism. Well, what about me? I
It's not
gotta do this. I gotta work 7 days a week and I don't get so you're not allowed to complain. Stop.
Elle. That's not what it was. And by the way, they're not bad jokes. It's just that people don't understand comedy.
Oh, is that what it is?
Okay,
You're
they
just
just don't
you're
understand
misunderstood.
comedy, Elle.
We get it. Public figures are 100% in better position than most. And I think most of them recognize that. But it also doesn't mean that we can't be human and have some compassion for the fact that their lives aren't perfect and that there are some additional things that come with those lives too.
Hmm. Like after I get done with this podcast here in a second, I got to go work on some better jokes. Because Elle,
No, you're gonna
again,
head to the Tipsy Moose in New Hampshire, and
no, Elle, this is I'm back Monday through Friday, Sports Center, 7 a.m.
there you
So
go.
I'm in the gut of my week. That's why I got the blue blockers on. You know what I'm saying? A lot of screen time for the kid. Writing a whole bunch of scripts. We got Sports Center Plus starting next week. So now I'm going to be doing 10 Sports Centers a week. I think that's a record.
Wow. Well, hope you don't complain about being tired because You know, there are
Okay,
people that work 10
okay,
shifts a week, Gary.
okay,
Hope you
Elle.
don't complain about being tired. You should be doing 7 days a week. You don't do anything. All you do is talk about sports.
I do
Ew,
work
how
7 days a week,
hard.
Elle.
So hard. It's so hard to read off a prompter. It's so hard to get your makeup done, be beautiful, travel around. Oh, I hope you don't complain. Hope you don't ask for a day off. I hope you don't ask for vacation.
Shut up, Elle. Okay, you pretended to be sick at the start of this podcast. You look darn good, well, and fine. Damn it, you're lying to everybody.
But thank you. You know, honestly, yelling at you is helping break up some of this phlegm in my chest.
You're
Say
welcome.
something else stupid.
Okay, okay. You know what? Part two this Friday, Elle. We'll pick
Right.
things up.
We will. We will. Thanks for that, Care Bear. And listen, hey,
I
drop your
got you.
comments in the comments section. Let me know, That's the other part of our job is everyone having an opinion on who you are, how you
Oh,
got
I
your
read them
job,
all, Elle. I'm in
why
the
you keep your
trenches.
job, being called names. That's fun. That's cool. That's a part of the job.
I'm
No
in the
one
trenches.
cares.
I'm in the trenches with these people. It's amazing. I love it.